Hello and welcome to the GameReviewPad YouTube channel. My name is Andre, and in this video I am going to discuss how I do my reviews. So, what is my review process when I am reviewing a game, and how I take notes to help build my review into the finished product that you see on the GameReviewPad website itself. So, first of all, I also wanted to do this video for anyone that might be new to doing reviews, or someone that might have been doing reviews for a while that might want tips on how to take notes or anything like that. Or if you have a game coming out and you're interested in how I do my reviews and how much effort I put into my reviews. Whoever you are, whoever's watching, I just want to discuss how I do my reviews, and maybe this will help you out for whatever you're doing. So first of all, whenever I do my reviews, I always like to have Notepad open. That's my choice of application because it takes up very little resources on my machine, and it's something that I can easily pull up, and especially if I'm using a double monitor, it's extremely easy for me to use. And if your game has Windows Windows full screen, or a borderless Windows full screen, I should say, that makes my review process so much easier because I can just slide my mouse over and take notes right away. But if it's a game where I have to, constantly tab out and write notes, it's a little more annoying, but hey, I know that games are not catered for reviewers particularly, so I'm not going to hold it against them. But it does make the process a little longer because I do like to pause the games a lot and minimize them and write notes. Usually not a ton of notes, and I'm going to get into that right now. So, for example, in the very beginning of my review, I usually put the title of the game at the top. So, let's say game name at the top. And then what I usually like to do is put a section that says pros and cons. Usually I like to put some space in between. And lately I've been putting like asterisks or something to be a good separator. Let's try that. And so at the top part of the screen, what I usually like to do is, as I am playing the game, I usually like to put character names. So, for example, if the main character's name is John, I'll write John, and then I will write a plot point next to that character, like son of Mary, or something like that. I like to put little basic plot points, and at the top part of my review notes section, I like to put things that are like plot related, or, anything that will help refresh my memory of who the characters are and what their backgrounds are, like, and stuff like that. So I'll have like Mary, let's see, lives in let's say fantasy world. Let's just make that up for now. So who they are, where they live, what they do, all that type of stuff. The other stuff I like to put in the top part is game modes. So like if there's like arcade modes, I'll put like arcade mode, story mode, whatever it is. Just whatever is available to the player, I like to separate all those kinds of things. So in the top part of the review, because that's not a pro or a con, it's just like more descriptive and easy for me to look over once I'm done with this whole thing. So I'll put plot points, and then I'll put game modes. And then as I'm playing a game, let's say I'm playing like a RPG, for example, I might write something like lots of skills with elements, something like that. So like skills, or dash lots of skills with elements, and then I will actually write the elements. So earth, wind, let's say fire, etc., lightning. Whatever it is, I like to put as much detail as possible for stuff like this that make it a lot easier for me to remember. And I don't put like every little minute detail, because a lot of this is just there as a refresher, just so I don't have to go into the entire game and look into it. Usually things that if I read it, it'll jog my memory to get me to remember what it is. And then also as I'm playing, I'm going down and scrolling down and writing my pros and my cons. So I might write in the pros section great, like soundtrack, graphics. Cons, I might put like controls, UI, stuff like that. So it's actually not that big of a process, but it is a process that does require you to be a little patient in your playthrough, and the finished product is going to help you an immense deal, especially for me, because all I do is, by the end of the review, it will be the perfect rubric for your review. So I'm going to now switch and show you what the finished product is going to look like for one of the reviews I wrote this year. So let me switch to a review, the notepad that I use for a game called The Flower Collector that I reviewed on the GameReviewPad website earlier this year. Let's see. There we go. So as you can see, I have the Flower Collectors. Let's see. And I've got voice acting listed. I've got separated by chapters, so that's how the story is broken up. I have the locations, I have character names, I have various elements in the game, and then I have pros and cons, voice acting, graphic style, chapter selection. And when I'm writing the characters' names, sometimes I don't pay too much attention to the spelling, and so when I'm done with my notes, what I usually like to do is do a quick pass over the notes to make sure the names are spelled correctly, and just to dot my I's and cross my T's as far as names and locations are concerned, and all that type of stuff. What I'm also doing lately is recording my footage, so I can always refer back to my footage, and if I'm streaming and recording, then I can obviously look at that footage too. But last year and before that, I used to just have the notes and I wasn't recording all my game footage. But this year, I'm actually recording my game footage, and it's making it a whole lot easier that you can just refer back to your footage if you have to check something or see where something lands. So this is what a finished product of my review notes can look like. And after I'm done, you'll have stuff in the cons section that some of it might be nitpicking, and so after I'm done with my notes, what I like to do is decide, all right, what do I need to talk about in my review? Is a bad typo in chapter 3, like something, is a typo something you want to mention in your review, or is it like, can you let that slip? Is that something that you really want to include in your review, and be nitpicky and annoying? So those are the kinds of things that I ultimately decide from my rubric, which is the pros and the cons, and pretty much that dictates how I write my review, and it makes things a whole lot easier because I just can look at my notes and see the plot, see the characters, see all the good things about the game that I want to talk about, and see all the cons that I want to talk about. And more often than not, it makes the review extremely easy to write, and I can fly through it pretty easily. Sometimes it can be difficult. Some games, your review notes might be very, very little. If it's a game like Tetris, as an easy example, like if it's like a basic game of Tetris, you're not going to have a whole lot there. You're not going to have a whole lot of story. But in the top part, I might have like game modes, discussion of game modes at the top, and then the pros and cons of that experience in the bottom for something like a Tetris experience. Every game is different, obviously, and you're going to have more notes for some games than others, and some games, as the plot twists and turns, you're going to want to include those kinds of things too for some of those games. But I just think that this process, at least for me, works pretty good. And if it's something that you find interesting and you want to use, then I'm glad to have shared this with you. And I just want to thank you for watching this GameReviewPad review process video. And I'd appreciate if you subscribe to the channel. That would help us immensely, because it would help us, it helps the site. It would allow us to link back to our reviews on the website. So I appreciate all the support, and I'll have another video pretty soon about other things as we move along at the end of this year. Thanks.